students, we're at our last week before Christmas break. So we are on week 16, and week 16, I hope you'll find is kind of an interesting week. We're going to wrap up our studies of intelligence by having what is called a Socratic seminar, and it would go much better if we could do it in person, but we're going to see how it goes. So you're going to pull up this planning document, and I hope you have recognized in Socratic the name Socrates, and so a lot of what Socrates knew about himself, he kind of wanted to put on others by having them become thinkers, right? And often that by becoming thinkers, we have to ask questions and we have to bounce ideas off one another, right? He never really wanted to just tell you what to think. He wanted you to become the thinker. So we are going to have a Socratic seminar as best we can on the topic of what determines intelligence. And I picked a very wide open topic because I want it to be open for you to decide where you want to go with this topic. So there's no right answers here at all, right? There's just formulating a thesis and supporting your thesis. So how in the world am I going to start formulating my thesis? So what I have back here, oops, where to go? I have to go back to the class. I lost my, here we go. All right. So back to this information page. I have a whole lot of resources for here, and you can use other resources if you kind of run them by me, but the reason I'm putting resources here is because I want you to read them, and I don't want something to kind of just formulate this thesis for you. I want you to practice doing this. It's not an easy thing to do, but it is something that you'll probably have to do in university. So we might as well practice once here with it. So you're just gonna skim through some of these articles, right? Maybe the video looks the most interesting, you watch that first. Maybe you're looking through here. This looks interesting. IQs of identical twins reared apart. What happens with that? I'm kind of curious. And so you read through, 3, 4, 5 of the articles, and then you come back to your planning document and I can write a thesis. Remember, a thesis is 1, maybe 2 sentences. It's a really strong statement. And then you use those sources, which you're going to cite those sources to support your thesis. So at least 3 things here, and you have space. And then I want you to write, 3 questions. Don't worry about the bottom. We're not doing this at all. So write 3 questions that you think might make a thought-provoking question for a classmate. So probably not like a 1 or 2 word answer question, but a question that's going to ask your classmates to think. All right. And so after you do that, after you have that planning document, you are going to put it on here for me to read. So you're going to update this Socratic seminar planning page. And I'm going to change this because I really want to be able to see this. So I'm going to change a setting here so that this activity will be completed when I grade it. All right, so you won't be able to go on, and so you got to give me a little bit of time to read your work. I want to make sure that you have a thesis and that you then have some support and some questions. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have a discussion forum here. And in this discussion forum, I don't want you just to, copy and paste your information from your planning page. The first person who comes to it will give their thesis and their support. So whoever gets there first will give their thesis and give support. And then the next person who comes in is going to, do I have these up here? I do. The next person who's going to they're going to try to do one of these things. And I'll put this in the discussion so you have it, right? We're going to try to test our assumptions, explore inferences. We're going to refer to the text. We're going to acknowledge any kind of change. We're going to try to clarify any confusing statements. And we're going to try to know what we don't know, and we're seeking to fill in information. So how do you do that? Well, if the person shared their thesis and you agree, you might say something like, I like what so-and-so said because, right? And use some information that you have. Or could you please say more about, right? What's your evidence for? What you said about made me think of, right? So we can use these agreeing, disagreeing, clarifying, or paraphrasing on a claim to try to learn more. All right, so in the discussion, you're gonna need to make 3 postings. Okay, so that's why it has here, so that hopefully, and you could also ask some of the questions you asked, right? If you feel like, hey, we both agree, but I'm gonna ask a question, that's also fine. And at the very end, so these 2 things, this is gonna have a grade just that you did it, and it's okay. I'm not gonna put any points in the forum itself. The points for this assignment are gonna go into this a reflection. So who did you discuss with? Depends on who's there. Here's 3 questions to answer. And then I want you to tell me, I think I had 20 points because, or I think I had 16 points because, and the criteria is here. Okay, so let me know if you have questions on this. I know it's a little bit different, but that's what we have for the whole week. So I hope you can wrap this up. And then just to kind of share, I put one other thing on here just so we're all on the same page, that I'm going to use the week after you finish week 16. I'll get together your semester grades and I'll email those to you. So I'll make sure that's done by December 19th. All right. If you're done on December 14th and everything's finished, I'll get it done right away. All right. If you have any questions, let me know. Thank you very much.